Welcome. I'm Dr. Angela. I am a functional practitioner for over 17 years, and I am joined here with my dear friend and colleague, Robert Slovak, who has been in the water industry for, over 45 years now?
Well over 40.
Well over that. And he and I are so privileged to do a little deep dive into some of our favorite health topics. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to educating and sharing some vast knowledge that we both gained through the years. Robert, let's take it from the beginning. Let's talk about the ocean and what is our connection today to the ocean?
Well, it's profound, almost beyond imagination. And in fact, all species have this connection to the ocean because the evolution of all species took place in the only place that was available on planet Earth to do anything in, and that was the ocean, because the ocean covered the planet. Remember, in the earliest the Earth started to form 4.5 billion years ago, and by 3.8 billion years, there was no life. And then you had this perfect balance of things in what covered the Earth, called the ocean. So any life that was this new thing called life itself, which started as microorganisms and mitochondria even started to emerge, occurred in the only place there was something to occur in. And the ocean provided the palette of colors. Okay, it's kind of like God created the periodic table of 94 elements. Okay, that's the palette of colors. The canvas was the ocean itself. Okay, and then whatever spark took place, the design of life began. And those were called prokaryotes. And it started to evolve under the guidance maybe of God. We're not sure. Of nature, we don't know. But
so what you're telling me is life then brought all of these elements.
Yes, all the things. The octopus developed in it. The porpoises developed in it. Elephants, dinosaurs. And finally, human life began about 2.6 billion years after the first signs of life in the ocean. 2.6 billion years. And that life sought a terrestrial existence.
And when did the physiologists discover that our internal fluids are mimicking the sea?
René Quinton introduced it. René Quinton was a colleague of Darwin, who, of course, studied evolution and the ocean. And René Quinton said, my science, my studies, my research shows that we use this ocean to develop the fluids of the body. And the fluids of the body are what? 70% of the body? You're literally a fluid body with a frame. And so that fluid, no one even realized, well, where did that fluid come from? René Quinton said it's a selective accumulation of ocean water. And the body is using all of those 94 elements. Well, there are gases in there. It's using most of the elements from a solid element standpoint, physical, liquid, or solid. There are 78. And that's how you started out, is using those 78 in a fluid, in all the fluid compartments of the body to complete your biological functions and your physiology. I mean, it's an incredible thing. And René Quinton pursued that. He was the only one who pursued it. And he proved it with the dog experiment that we are eminently compatible with seawater. And then very shortly thereafter, he started to say, why don't we see if we can improve these people who are ill? by supplying them with what's missing in them. and we can find the full supply from the ocean. And so he administered his marine plasma.
And this was starting in 1905 when there were clinics,
1905.
dispensaries.
And yes, well, he first addressed cholera and tuberculosis, and they applied it to in special clinics called marine dispensaries throughout Europe, and it worked. It was the medicine of the day. There were no, even though that cholera and tuberculosis involve deadly microorganisms, your body knew when it had the full ocean capability available to it by taking his marine plasma. The body says, oh, I now have what's needed.
So what I hear you saying is that René Quinton applied this to various health challenges of the day.
Yes.
And they set up clinics all around Europe and North Africa.
Yes.
Where they were administering this in different ways, subcutaneously, intravenously. And I believe René Quinton passed in the 1920s, and then they continued on with
yes.
Quinton.
He had a laboratory called Laboratoires Quinton, and they processed seawater to make it compatible to use it in many ways with the population's illnesses.
I think it's important to mention as well that there's something called the physician's desk reference. And in France, Quinton, from 1941, around there, it was part of this physician's desk reference.
It actually started before it was an official reference. There were just releases from 1916. Okay, when they were discussing the tuberculosis and how it used and so on and so on. And so then it became, probably in the 30s, it became a true physical, known as the Vidal.
Yes.
Europe's physician's desk reference.
Yes.
And it's been in that physician's desk reference.
It was in there for 58 years.
Yeah, until 1999, when it was simply identified as a medicine, a cure for pathologies. So
we would not call Quinton a medicine, though.
No, we don't refer to it as a medicine, but we cannot deny that historically it has over 100 years use as a medicine, and it is an accepted medicine in Europe and many other parts of the world. Okay, it is a true pharmaceutical medicine.
I don't know of anything else that's been on the market for 125 plus years.
And, you know, when we go to shows and teach doctors about Quinton, I tell them, if this show is still existing 100 years from now, this will be the only product that will remain that's standing today in this show.
It will probably look the same, too.
It will probably look the same. This is the forever health and wellness secret.
Yes, because where else can you get 73 plus trace elements and minerals?
Correct.
Not in the diet,
now,
not in the soil anymore.
And that's why it's even gotten worse today, because when mechanical farming and modern farming methods took place, where we use artificial fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and we treat the soil very differently now. And that treatment that we do now, even the way we plow the soil, happens to kill the soil's microbiome. It kills the bacteria. And it's like they completely forgot the role of bacteria in the soil in delivering its minerals and trace elements to the plant. So the average person, even if you eat modern organic food, you are probably getting at best, 30 elements of the periodic table. But your body was designed with 78. Okay? And that is the takeaway. That is the big takeaway.
Yes.
You must restore the minerals and trace elements, not just helter-skelter. They have to be in the right proportions.
Balance.
Where is that proportion? Perfect. It's not even perfect in the food you eat. It's perfect in the seawater that still exists.
Absolutely. And especially for females that are looking to conceive and to have that fetus develop in the proper environment with all the minerals, trace elements that
Think about what is the amniotic fluid? The amniotic sac is supposed to contain a fluid that literally mimics the primordial ocean. Okay? What does that mean? If it mimics the primordial ocean, it better contain all the minerals and trace elements the ocean contains. How many amniotic fluids now do you think are available in a woman, all the women that are pregnant right now?
How many minerals?
Minerals and trace elements, probably a few percent only have that. And this is an incredible adjuvant to the prenatal period. Every woman should administer Quinton marine plasma during their pregnancy. And there are books written on this, articles, protocols, and so on. And I hope you can expect, or you will expect, to see this information coming out much more prevalently than we've ever done it before.
So let's shift gears a bit, because I'd like to talk about the differences between the hypertonic and the isotonic.
Okay. Well, we should tell them. We should tell them that, okay, how is Quinton harvested? Well, it's not just harvested in just any ocean, because the ocean has some specific areas in which special things are done to enhance those 78 minerals and trace elements that are in the water. And where this is taken from is part of nature in which phytoplankton and zooplankton, that's the microscopic plant, phytoplankton, and the microscopic animal called zooplankton, such as microscopic shrimp is the example. And the phytoplankton, you all know, it's like spirulina and so on, the green cells that need sunlight. And that is what enhances and utilizes, and kind of think it as organocomplexing with the minerals to produce the astounding properties of this product.
Did they come from a vortex?
So this
plankton bloom.
This is taken from a established, very ultra pure zone of water from the Sea of Biscay off the coasts of France and Spain. And it's harvested very specially in pharmaceutical containers, 1,000 liters at a time. And this is...
Everything's kept cool.
Everything is refrigerated immediately. It's taken to the main pharmaceutical laboratory, Laboratoires Quinton.
Very advanced facility in Spain.
Very advanced in Spain, in Alicante, Spain. And they harvest the seawater directly, and that's what makes hypertonic. So when hypertonic is processed, as you might ask, well, what do they do to process it? Well, they remove all those organisms, okay?
Cold
microfiltration is used to remove, and it's been done this way since 1897. Now it's a much more modern technology that removes them, but this product is sterile and apyrogenic, okay? So that's something that is an exceptional property.
Can you tell them what apyrogenic means?
Apyrogenic, there are fragments of microorganisms that are responsible for kind of escaping your immune system. And it's called pyrogen. They're called pyrogens. Like those are the things that establish the fever in the body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So when you remove those as well, you're not only removing the whole organism, but you're removing the any potential pyrogen fragments from organisms. This process removes those.
So it's very rare for anyone to have
So
negative.
this is just chemically identical
Yeah.
to the to seawater without any dilution. This is the same, but it contains no organisms, no pathogens, nothing. Okay?
Okay.
So, but to use it in the body liberally and to have the body accept it, it has to be in the ratio that the body developed the use of seawater through evolution. And it didn't use the seawater directly, okay? Or else it might have remained in the sea. But it changed, and it was diluted through evolution to something called an isotonic dilution. This is the hypertonic, the seawater concentration itself, which is 33,000 parts per million, roughly. And this is 9,000 parts per million of the minerals and trace elements of the periodic table. And this is 33,000. So this is virtually identical and a replacement for your blood plasma. That's what a saline solution does in the body.
The salinity of our tears.
It's like when you taste isotonic, it often reminds people of the taste of your tears if you're crying liberally.
Yes, so this is not quite as salty. That is extremely salty.
Right.
This is typically the product that people start using when they're new to Quinton because it helps to rebalance and restore that bioterrain.
Yes, this restores a lot of physiological and biological functions and allows it to occur because they now have these 78 elements to work with. I mean, the body is suffering when it doesn't have the right balance of the periodic table in it. And that's when you get birth defects. That's when you get miscarriages. That's when you get people who can't even conceive. All of that has to do with the chemistry of what you have in your body fluids. And this is when you are not feeling well, and you can't be labeled as I'm in a state of wellness. This is where you start is isotonic.
Robert, I have stayed with isotonic.
Okay. Well, there are many reasons.
Let's
remember,
talk about
this is a very complex. I often write to people who inquire about Quinton that there's more written, and most of you have never seen it. There is more written on the use and nature and activity of this product than any product I have seen, whether it's pharmaceutical or herbal or whatever. Nothing exceeds the information available to this. But why wasn't it shared with everybody? Why don't you have this? And that is because there has always been a conflict between the pharmaceutical industry, the allopathic medical industry, and the use of natural products. There's always been friction. And that friction has stopped a lot of people from divulging all the information.
Well, with the isotonic, let's talk about the ability of this particular product to support the balance of the autonomic nervous system. So if someone is in this sympathetic, so many people today are in this state of stress and fight, flight, free, if they take something like this, how quickly can they expect to feel a shift in their nervous system?
For people, and many studies, such as heart rate variability studies, have been done with this for the last over 10 years. If you are stuck in sympathetic, you will notice a change of taking Quinton in less than 15 minutes. Okay. And it's great for people who have too much anxiety and trying to get to sleep and so on. It's a wonderful sleep enhancement product.
So
And it shifts one into the parasympathetic.
right. And that is exactly why I use this before bed,
Mm-hmm.
because it helps me to calm down. Or if I'm in the middle of a busy day at work and I'm very stressed, I will take this. And within about 15, 20 minutes, I'm starting to feel calm again. It's
Yeah.
incredible. This isotonic is something that essentially you would hold it in your mouth for about 15, 30 seconds before swallowing. It really helps. The minerals are in a crystalloid state that are highly bioavailable, which sets it apart from other mineral products on the market. And it has a perfect balance of all of the trace elements and minerals. And the balance is key because we're trying to create homeostasis in the body. So this is
Well,
absolutely fantastic. And now when people do shift to more of a maintenance product, sometimes they'll choose this hypertonic that can be more energizing, invigorating. It has the higher concentration of minerals. So I love adding that to my reverse osmosis water because we've taken everything out. We've purified our water through reverse osmosis. We want to put more of those minerals back in the proper ratios to revitalize that structure and structure that water. So I use both on a daily basis. When you start your ketone journey, the first thing you want to determine is whether you need the isotonic version or the hypertonic version. And within each segment, we offer different products. So this is the original glass vial that you break off the tip to. We also have it in a sachet. These are both 10 milliliters per serving. This is the quintessential 0.9. We also offer a specific line for athletes called Totem Sport or Quinton Sport Totem. And there's a night version, and this is 25 milliliters, specifically designed for those who have very rigorous activity schedules, and they need this to restore the body. It's taken specifically before bedtime.
and this is the 20 milliliter Totem Sport for the activity itself, for preparing for the activity.
Hypertonic.
This is hypertonic. So we have two sachet packages for hypertonic, and then the glass ampule for more specific applications, usually often used by practitioners, probably the most popular form.
Yes, yes.
And
And the quintessential 3.3 is the hypertonic in just the sachet for travel. It's wonderful for throwing in your gym bag or your purse. And when people take this product, they, a lot of people will take more than one, especially if they have some type of challenge, especially in the beginning. So, you can take up to 6 a day or more.
yes,
But it's best to spread out when you're taking it, at least by an hour, because you're introducing the trace elements, but also information into the field of the body. And there's certain energetics about this. The testimonials that are incredible.
yes. I mean, how many things have survived for 128 years and are more prevalent today in the world
Right.
than anything we know, and yet they're still trying to, even though the failures of allopathic medicine and this dramatic increase in disease and lifespan and so on, it's really been a credible disservice that people are still being deceived about what is required for optimal health.
Yes.
And the
And
terrain is everything.
And this has been studied for its immunomodulatory properties. So its ability to act and balance the immune response, which right now and everything that's gone on in the past 3-4 years, it's more than ever, people have woken up to the importance of taking care of their physical body. There's so many great things that have come out of the challenges. But a lot of people, more people than ever, are sick and in need of
Correct.
a gentle way to restore the body.
So if you took the average person, just here, whatever town you live in, if you took the average person and took a blood test, and it'd probably be one of the most expensive blood tests, and identified how many minerals and trace elements are in it, in their blood, in their body fluids, in their terrain.
Well, can you speak to why it is so expensive to test all the minerals?
Oh, it's just analytically, it's extremely and just even see what, if you ever read the Bible of analytics of seawater, just forget about the complexities of the body fluids. But if you ever read the book, it's about 4 inches thick. And the analytical methods used to find out the trace elements. Now, it's inexpensive to get calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, iron, and so on. But when you start to get into the trace elements, very hard to analyze how much is in a sample of fluid.
Right.
And remember, you have, in fact, the 2 guys, I can't remember their names, and we'll cover it in another session, who were the gurus of examining the elements and minerals required by the body. They simply, after their whole lifetime of work, they stopped at 64. Okay, and they said, "Look, we know you need 64. We have confirmed it." Okay, and then they were gone. So it took them their lifetimes to just get to 64. So
I see. So many people ask why this box on Quinton does not show all of the minerals that are present within the product.
Oh, it's very easy, because in labeling of a product, unless you have the trace elements, are in micrograms, okay? And they don't even have minimum daily, there's no RDA for cobalt, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So unless it is an RDA value that's published, that you need as a dietary supplement, you're not allowed to put it on here. You can talk about it in another document if you want, okay? And we have all the analysis of what's in here, but you can't put it on the box, and that is an FDA labeling requirement. Or else we would put 78 minerals and trace elements on here.
Yes, and it's not possible to do that on each batch. The proportions of minerals from seawater remain quite stable.
Well, yes, and it is done periodically, and it is published, and it is done by a third-party laboratory as well. Because in Europe, Quinton is considered a pharmaceutical and under the pharmacopoeia laws. It's just like it's like an antibiotic. It's a true medicine in Europe. So you have to follow all the pharmacopoeia rules and sterilization and so on and so on. So you're not going to, you can publish it in Europe, but you can't publish it for North America.
With the hypertonic, how do you typically suggest to take that?
That someone should always start
with the isotonic.
With the isotonic.
Always start
maybe for a month to a day. And observe what that addition to your human biology, you will notice something, okay? And you're going to observe that, and then if you really have experienced a significant observable shift in your health, then we would recommend you just continuing on isotonic until you have reached like, I feel much better this way. And then you can start taking hypertonic, okay? And especially people who really need hypertonic are people with high activity level. because you're processing and using the minerals and trace elements at a much higher rate. So an athlete can take, maybe 2 or 3 hypertonic even before an event, and then to recover, maybe 2 or 3 more after an event.
Yes.
And this is common in European and other world athletes to take this.
Or they could drop it in their water and drink the water throughout the event.
Yeah,
Wow.
yes. And this is everyone. I don't care what water you're buying or you're making in your home with RO distillation, and even the best waters. Let's say Mountain Valley. If you order Mountain Valley, you know what I tell people? I think you made a great choice. Great water, pure, no contaminants in it. But I would add, but it doesn't have, there's no bottled water that has 78 minerals and trace elements in it. And I'd say, put this in maybe one per every 2 liters if you like.
Mm-hmm.